Today, we're delving into a story that's equal parts bizarre, tragic, and deeply unsettling. We're talking about Corpsewood Manor, and this is Hold My Sweet Tea. Hey, everybody, I'm Holly.
And I'm Pearl. And that's all I got to say about that.
I was like, is there something else? But apparently, no.
Nope.
I'm Holly and she's Pearl. That's
I'm
it.
Pearl.
We're done. Episode
and
over.
That's all I got to say about that. I got nothing else to say about that.
Right.
Just that I'm Pearl.
So I have a really long episode.
Yeah, you're
but,
good.
you know, it's a lot of information.
It's fine.
And we want to tell it the best way I know how.
Tell it like it is.
Tell it like it is. I don't want to leave stuff out because then it's a chopped up story and you're left wondering like, well, what happened with this and what happened with that? But I am going to start with a big old disclaimer on this one. So the following episode of Hold My Sweet Tea contains sensitive and potentially disturbing content related to the murders at Corpsewood Manor in Georgia. We will be discussing acts of a sexual nature, violence, and may touch upon themes of drug use and alleged occult practices. This content is based on publicly available information and sources, but listener discretion is strongly advised.
You got all the things in one.
All of it.
All the things.
I keep finding the best stories, right? I read them and go, I don't know if I should do that. Yep, I want to do this one. But I've heard this one a while back on a podcast. It's been years ago. And I just happened upon it again. And I'm like, oh yeah, I heard about this one. So started digging into it, and I definitely want to do it.
All right.
Yep.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So the early part of this takes place in the late 70s. We're gonna move into the 80s later, but we're gonna start in the 70s with Dr. Charles Scudder. He was a pharmacology professor at Loyola University in Chicago, a man described as brilliant, confident, and eccentric. He decided that he had enough of city life. He was married a couple of times. He had 3 kids. They had moved out. And he also had a housekeeper/cook that lived with him, whose name was Joseph Odom. He went by Joey, but there's another Joey later on down in this story. So I'm going to call him Odom and Scudder. Kind of like Mulder and Scully, but not. That's what I think of.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay. So,
well, I mean, that works.
Right. So, like I said, he had enough of city life. At the age of 50, he had resigned from his comfortable academic position, fueled by a desire for peace and quiet far from the urban decay that he had witnessed around him. Like, he was done.
He's like, people suck.
Yeah. So, like I said, Dr. Scudder held a PhD in pharmacology from Loyola, and he was an associate professor in the school's Department of Pharmacology and Experimental Therapeutics.
Oh, was he shocking people?
It's a possibility. It was the late 70s.
Yeah.
So he was also the associate director of the Institute for Mind, Drugs, and Behavior at Loyola.
Oh.
This was a government-run program.
Oh.
While in this position, Dr. Scudder did conduct experiments involving hallucinogenics, LSD,
Of course.
psychoactive drugs, shrooms, things of that nature. However, the availability of information does not explicitly state that this work was part of a government program, but it was said in many, many articles that it was.
It's like some
Yes.
under the table type stuff.
Yeah. Can you imagine the strength of government LSD? Whoa.
Yeah.
That would have been insanity.
Wonder if they're testing that for some warfare purposes.
Right. I'm like, are they testing this on chimpanzees or something, or people?
They're trying to make an LSD bomb.
Yes. Everybody's like, what is that dragon in the sky? It's not, it's a plane. So like I said, his marriage had dissolved. His 3 children had grown up, moved out, and he decided he's going to move with Odom to the North Georgia woods.
Okay, so
Right.
Dr. Scudder and Odom run off to the woods together.
Run off to the woods.
Okay.
Along with Dr. Scudder's 2 bull mastiffs.
Oh, poochies.
Puppy dogs.
Uh-huh.
Their names were Beelzebub and Arsanath.
Oh my goodness.
Arsanath is noted to be similar to a character in an H.P. Lovecraft novel.
Ah.
And we all know who Beelzebub is.
Yeah. If
Beelzebub.
you don't, you weren't born.
Right. So they made their way out to their property that they bought. They bought 40 acres near Tryon, Georgia.
They were going to try on the 40
Tryon, Georgia.
acres.
They were going to try on this life. They got out there. There was a storm going on. They got out there in the middle of the night. Couldn't find where they were going. So they decided, hey, we're going to go ahead and just sleep in the Jeep. We got these 2 bull mastiffs. They'll keep us warm. It's fine.
They'll keep you warm and protected.
Right, and protected. Very
So,
protected. They're viciously protective. They got up the next morning and started looking around and everything, and there was a dead horse in the road.
No horse around at night. Wake up to dead horse in the morning.
Right. Dead horse.
Okay.
So Dr. Scudder had a very twisted, quirky sense of humor and stuff. So he decided, we're going to name the road leading up to here Dead Horse Road. Right. So Dead Horse Road it is. I don't know if they got out there and moved it or not, but
Oh, like,
Dead
did they
horse
drive
road.
around it in the grass
Right.
or something? I mean, it ain't easy to move a big dead horse.
and it's snowing, so it's probably like frozen.
Oh my gosh.
We'll just wait till it thaws.
Right.
So they got up to, where they were going to build their house because they were building this. He had an expansive collection of books.
Okay.
He literally had a book on how to build a house.
Huh. So he's building his own house using a book?
Building a house using a book. No Googles.
Oh, wow.
No YouTubes.
Okay, then.
So he wanted to live off the grid before living off the grid was cool.
Okay.
So he and Odom set about building this house. It was an incredible feat of dedication. Within just 2 years, they were living in like a little camper trailer in the Jeep while they were building it.
Mm-hmm.
Scudder and Odom built their own secluded sanctuary, Corpsewood Manor. And they got the name from like the dead wood that was laying all around. So
Okay,
it was
so that's-
Corpsewood.
Dead horse and Corpsewood.
Yes.
Got you.
Dead Horse Road, Corpsewood Manor. So 45,000 bricks were laid by their own hands
That's incredible.
in 2 years.
I'm tired just thinking about that.
There was a brick gazebo, a 3-story chicken coop, even a chemical outhouse. So they had a chemical toilet and everything. They wouldn't have to deal with that. They had a well on the property that they dug, no electricity, Like, I'm
Oh.
talking completely
He's
off.
going all the way back.
Scudder said, I do not want to owe anyone anything. So they had...
He's talking about some serious
Right.
debt-free right there.
Right. And this is how much they got into it. They had their own winery, like they grew grapes for their own wine. They had bees, and then they would make the beeswax candles that they would use in their house.
Oh, they were making their own candles.
Yes.
That's fun.
So, they were out there living life off the grid and just having a good old time.
Yeah. The wine and the bees.
The wine and the bees.
They're living my dream, but I still want electricity.
Right,
Because I need
'cause
some air conditioning.
it'd be
Georgia's hot.
Yes.
Ew.
Absolutely. So Scudder was fascinated, like I said, by quirky, funny things, whatever. But he was also fascinated by the occult. And he was a member of the Church of Satan.
Looky there.
Yeah. And everybody's like clutching their pearls going, oh my God, devil worshippers. But just for religious context and common misconceptions about the Church of Satan, I'm gonna explain to you like what it entails, because just the name alone can like conjure images of like ritualistic devil worshiping and demons and all that stuff. But the members don't actually worship Satan as a deity. It's a atheistic or non-theistic organization. So if you're atheist, you don't believe in worshiping anything. You don't believe that there's a
Right.
higher power or God or anything.
Right.
So
There's nothing. Yeah, no.
if you belong to the Church of Satan, which is atheistic, you wouldn't worship Satan because that makes no sense.
So it's like the church of we believe in nothing.
Right.
But, so I guess it's kind of comical to name it.
Right. It was kind of like thumbing your nose at Christianity. Like,
I see.
haha.
Like
We're
a
gonna-
joke.
Yeah,
It's a
like a
joke.
little joke and
I got you.
everything. So that was the
Some
whole...
satire.
Right. So, like I said, they don't worship Satan. I want to say, like, the Church of Satan is more about individualism, like self-care. You worship yourself, and you do for yourself.
Like my body is my temple.
Right. Type
Okay.
thing.
Type
So,
Okay.
that was the whole thing behind Anton LaVey's Church of Satan. They would indulge. They don't believe in suppressing natural human instincts and advocate for indulging in them responsibly, which Scudder apparently didn't understand by bringing 12,000 doses of LSD with him from Chicago.
Oh, wow.
I don't know how many vials that is, but
I'm like,
holy moly.
that's one hell of a party right there.
Right.
And I guarantee he's not having parties. So, like that between him and the other guy, what the hell?
Well, there might be some
There might be some
little,
parties?
little parties.
Okay.
Yeah.
Little parties.
Maybe little parties.
Okay.
We'll get into the chicken coop in a minute.
Oh, Lord.
Chicken Voldemort.
That sounds terrible.
So Corpsewood Manor was not only a home, it was an outward expression of Scudder's nonconformist views. It was adorned with macabre decorations, including skulls, gargoyles, one which was painted pink.
That's fun. My daughter
Right.
would be like, cool, can I have it?
Oh, cool. And stained glass windows that Scudder made himself, featuring Medusa and Baphomet. And if you don't know who Baphomet is, he's the horn god with the, two fingers up, as above, so below.
So below,
Yeah. Scudder's personal artwork also reflected his darker sensibility. Paintings flanking the entrance to the second floor depicted a baby emerging from the womb on one side and a skeletal infant on the other.
Ew.
I'm wondering if he was on LSD when he painted.
Yeah, I was
these.
about to say, was he?
'Cause-
Maybe he was on LSD when he was doing all of this.
Possibly.
Maybe he just stayed, like, microdosed and stayed that way all the time.
Maybe so. And the house, just to say this, the house had no square corners. It was rounded.
Oh,
Everything was rounded. The manor, they called it, was like this.
there's no sharp corners.
No corners.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Perhaps the most disturbing was a self-portrait he created. A chilling premonition, or perhaps a morbid fascination, showing himself bound, bleeding, with bullet wounds to the head.
Oh.
Yeah.
That sounds like a tripping painting too.
Type painting and everything.
Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of like, meh. Then there was the pink room. This was located on the 3rd floor of their elaborate chicken coop.
Why?
They had this big 3-story elaborate chicken coop with a pink room on top. It had pink shag carpeting, pink walls, mattresses laying about.
So there's no chickens up there.
No chickens up there.
Maybe just chicken heads, huh?
Right. See them other chicken heads? I'm doing some Krayshawn over here.
Well, I mean, it's like pink shag
Right?
carpet, and all I can think is chicken poop, and that would be terrible.
No. You're like, how am I ever going to get this chicken poop out of this shag carpeting? Well, like I said, it had all the stuff, mattresses, whips, chains, you name it.
Okay.
It had it. So it was all the locals whispered about, and they called it the pleasure room. I'm like, how do the locals know? Are they like peeking in the chicken coop?
Right. I'm like, you're supposed to be off the grid.
Right.
What the
But
hell?
they
You got
would-
people coming and touring your place? I mean, what
This is the chicken coop, and that is the pleasure room above it. Oh, I wonder if it smelled like chicken.
that's what I thought. It's like
Ew.
it stinks in chicken coops. What
Right?
the hell?
So here in the pink room, Scudder and Odom would entertain guests sharing homemade wine, because they made their own wine and people said it was like superb. LSD.
I'm sure he read a book about it.
Yeah, probably so. He's like, I'm going to make some wine. I have a book. And, they would smoke marijuana, take LSD, drink some wine, and engage in intimate encounters.
Disease spreading.
Right. So
Intimate encounters.
they, even though they were together, they weren't a monogamous couple.
Okay.
So they did their own thing, but also,
They did other
they
people's things too.
they openly explored their own desires, and even keeping detailed notes on like preferences of each one's partners. So
What?
they would go into town, and apparently in Georgia there was some curiosity going on, so they were like, hey, want to come back to the chicken coop with me?
I'll take you up to the 3rd floor pleasure room.
Yes, I mean,
Show you my shag.
while
Carpet.
we're out getting supplies and stuff, we'll just come on back to the pleasure room. So I guess that's how people started talking, and they
That
knew
must be.
about it.
That's what I was about to say. If they were like picking up friends.
Yes. Just, random
town.
men having little parties with their open lifestyle and
And partaking.
partaking in parties. But, this open lifestyle would ultimately lead to tragedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People gonna get jealous,
Mm-hmm.
mad.
Absolutely.
Don't
So-
tell nobody what I did here, and then you told somebody what I did here.
and
There's so
now-
many possibilities.
Now people are talking.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Kenneth Avery Brock. He was a 17-year-old that Scudder and Odom had encountered while on their property. He was hunting.
Oh.
And they were like, you know what? It's fine. You can hunt on the property. Just let us know that you're out here so we know that you're hunting, and it's fine. But, Brock was, we're going to go last name because there's a lot of people in here later on.
Mhm.
Brock was intrigued by the rumors of the homosexual devil worshippers, and that's a quote.
That's what they were calling them?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
in the mountains. So he accepted their invitation to go back to the manor to the infamous pink room.
I'm wondering, how do you ask somebody back to your
Right.
pink room?
I think it was just out of, like I said, sheer curiosity. He wanted to see for himself
I
if
see.
it was actually
Did he go maybe,
there.
I heard.
Right. Be like, oh, I can hunt here.
Is it real?
Right. Is it real?
It's their creation.
It's their creation. Absolutely. 100%. So, fueled by strong homemade wine and drugs, Brock's inhibitions lowered because he was a straight guy, apparently.
So he said.
So he says. And he engaged in some sexual acts with Scudder. They didn't say what kind of sexual acts, but there was some things going on. And like I said earlier, he was 17. Back in the late 70s, early
Early Grady 80s.
early 80s, the age of consent in Georgia at that time was 14.
14?
If you haven't listened to Gallatin Street, you should go listen.
I'm sorry, but what is wrong with people?
But sodomy was still illegal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's illegal still in several states. It wasn't in here in Louisiana. It was illegal for like the longest time. I'm like, But regardless, Brock visited the pink room more than once. He went back for seconds, maybe thirds. He was like, kind of like it.
Well, sometimes you don't know till you try.
That's right.
To each their own.
So later, Brock shared his experience at Corpsewood with his roommate, Samuel Tony West, which we're going to call West.
Okay.
They had become, roommates, and he was joking around and he said something about it. And West was like, what do you mean you went over there? Like, what did you do? Are you a homosexual? And just kind of like went off on him and stuff.
So
and
then
like,
it became like he's all,
right.
All
he's like, no, I just wanted to see what they had in there, and see like what was going on and blah, 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 blah.
It's so sad to have to just hide your nature because people are ugly.
Right.
But okay.
Because, he was being a man.
Right.
So West was a 30-year-old felon with a dark past. He was also a truck driver. You know how that goes.
Truck drivers do dirty stuff with no matter what gender you are. Come on now. Why is he judging?
Glory holes.
Yeah, why is he judging? Why is he judging?
He also had a conviction for the murder of his 2-year-old nephew.
Holy crap.
I'm like, how are you out? Why are you out here existing?
You killed a child.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
So hearing about the isolated couple and their seemingly opulent lifestyle, the manor, the land, the rumors of a golden harp.
Oh, so now there's like motivation. Like they have things I can steal.
The antique furniture.
Yeah.
A sinister idea began to form in West's mind because Brock was in on it because he's like, oh, yeah. There's all this stuff in this house and blah, 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 blah. So West is like, you know what? They would make really easy targets out in the middle of the woods.
Nobody's there to see
Everybody thinks they're homosexual devil worshippers anyway.
Yeah, nobody likes them.
We should go out there and rob them.
Yeah, that's what I figured was about to happen when you start talking about things.
Yeah. But they knew that Scudder had the 2 large English mastiffs, so they were like, we're going to bring a weapon. Because we could probably take them down, maybe, but the dogs, we need a weapon. So they brought a shotgun.
Okay.
Brock went on a scouting mission first. So he was like, I'm going to go in the woods, act like I'm hunting, and seeing if I can get into the manor and see what they have in there.
Weapon.
But, he was denied entry to the manor.
Oh.
Most of their little flingy parties and things happened in the chicken coop in the pink room, not in the actual house. So they wouldn't let people in their house.
Just in the chicken coop.
So this prevented him from assessing the potential loot. They did, however, underestimate the couple's finances. So Scudder and Odom lived lived very frugally on just $200 a month, keeping the bulk of their money in the bank. So they would only take out just a little bit just so they could go to town, get some stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say whatever
and
they
things like
couldn't make
that.
themselves, they
Right.
were
Right.
forced to purchase. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So and the rest of the money just sat in the bank
Mm-hmm.
because he really had no interest in like paying anybody anything. It just sat there, and it was probably for his kids or whatever when they got older.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't have a bunch of money laying around like these two buffoons thought they did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we slip into, this is about 1982. And also around the time of the birth of the satanic panic.
And around the time that I was teething on a
right.
metal, what are those lighters? The metal.
Oh, Zippos.
Yes. I was teething on one of those probably right about this same time.
Wow.
Perfect thing to let a baby chew on, by the way.
Here's a dangerous fuel-filled lighter. Chew on that.
Yeah.
It's fine. We're okay.
Great grandparents that I had.
Right.
They're like, here, chew on this Zippo.
Thanks, Grandma.
It's Grandpa, actually, who did that. Not my
Right.
grandma. She probably was fussing at him the whole time, but he still did it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
She'd be like, "You're an asshole, Red. Don't be giving that baby a Zippo
Don't give that
lighter."
baby that Zippo. But and this was the time of the satanic panic that it kind of took over, and you automatically think of the West Memphis 3. But like the satanic panic was like from the early 80s into the 90s. So it was a good span there.
There's a long time, yeah.
There were companies like Procter & Gamble that were no longer able to use their logo and call themselves Procter & Gamble because they were apparently devil worshippers because there was a moon and star on their label. So this was,
goodness.
People just went wild with it.
Yeah. Everything was bad.
Right. On December 12th of 1982, Brock and West, accompanied by West's nephew, Joey Wells, whereas the other Joey comes in.
Gotcha.
So we'll call him Wells. Well, we'll just call him Joey since he's the Joey in here. Joey when they contacted him, they were like, "Hey, we need you to come along. We need you to help us with this." He's like, "Oh, well, I just met this girl not too long ago named Teresa Hudgens. We're on our first date. Just bring her along."
Oh my God.
This poor
We're going to bring some strange girl who you just met
on her first date with this dumb fuck.
Is going to go with them to rob.
These
guys. In the
homosexual devil worshippers that they call them.
That's crazy. No.
So along the way to the manor, they decided that they were going to get high on a dangerous mixture of alcohol, paint thinner, and glue. And they called this Toodaloo.
Toodaloo.
Toodaloo, motherfucker.
Yeah, pretty much.
There goes your brain cells.
Bye-bye.
So upon arrival, the 4 visitors joined Scudder in the pink room. I was like, these are children, but okay. Because I'm sure...
But 14?
14, yeah. One was 17, one was 30, but the nephew and girl, they were not of age.
No, but I'm saying you said age of consent was 14.
Yeah, it was 14. So they were like, let's go to the pink room. I've got 12,000 hits of LSD. So after about 20 minutes in the pink room, of them drinking and getting high and...
Take a little trip with me.
Exactly. In the pink room.
Yeah.
Brock started getting impatient. He was like, this is taking too long. I need to get into that house. I don't need to be in this pink room with all this shit. The Toodaloo is wearing I don't mean to laugh because this is very tragic.
Right.
I'm not laughing at the tragedy.
Thing to name something Toodaloo.
Toodaloo.
But I guess, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense, but it still can't. I'm with you. I can't
Right.
stop laughing at that name of the drug.
Right. So he decided to go to the car and retrieve the .22 rifle. He was like, I've had enough of this. We're not getting into the house.
Like,
I'm going
now
to
he's
get the
angry.
rifle. Yeah. Like, I'm done with this. When he returned to the pink room, Scudder, in a bizarre and perhaps naive moment, simply said, bang, bang, as if he were playing along like it was a game.
Wow.
Are we role-playing with the .22? No.
No. Okay, well.
So at this point, Wes tied up Scudder and demanded to know where the money was.
Although Scudder probably also thought that was part of the play.
Right. He's like, oh, okay, bang, bang.
Tie me up.
Scudder told him the truth. It's all in the bank. There's no money here.
Yeah.
We don't keep it just lying around in suitcases. It's in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
So this, infuriated them. And as this situation escalated, Joey, the nephew, and Teresa, this poor girl, tried to escape. They headed down the ladder of the chicken coop. They were like, we're out of here. So Wes pursued them.
They said, toodaloo.
Toodaloo. So Wes decided to pursue them and threaten them. He was like, no, you have to come back in. You have to help us.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like, you're part of this no matter.
Right. You're
what
an accessory now. So yeah.
Okay.
So in the chaos, Well managed to coax them back inside. Like, come on, we're gonna, go out this way and we're gonna head to the car. But the car wouldn't start.
Dun,
So
dun, dun.
so he forced them back inside. So frustrated beyond belief, Brock went down to the manor and demanded that Odom come out with the dogs. I'm like, not the dogs.
No.
So Joey Wells.
So Odom's in the house?
Odom was in the house with the dogs. So Scudder was up there doing his
By
thing.
himself?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Got it.
He was indulgent.
For some reason, I thought maybe they were both up there.
Mm-mm.
But I'm clear now.
So Joey Wells pleaded with his uncle, but his pleas were ignored. He's like, let's just go. Let's just go.
Please,
they don't
let's
have
go,
anything. Yeah. Let's just go. Like, put the gun down. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Then a barrage of gunfire erupted. Odom had opened the manor door, and Brock gunned him down, along with both of the beloved mastiffs. So he just started in there and shooting the dogs and Odom. The two intruders forced Scudder and the others into the manor. Seeing his murdered lover, Scudder, who was now gagged, let out a muffled scream of anguish. West removed the gag and demanded money and even asked for a soldering iron to torture him with. Yeah, sure, my soldering iron's over there. Go ahead and get it and torture me with it. Like, what?
Yeah. No. Not going to tell you where that is. But,
right.
What the hell?
So Scudder, with grim irony, because apparently his sense of humor was still there, his twisted sense of humor, pointed out their lack of electricity. It's like, bruh, you can't do anything.
Right, yeah.
You're gagged and bound, but he's like, no electricity.
No lights.
No light, no plugs. In a desperate attempt to reach Joseph Odom, Scudder tried to force his way toward him, like moving, muttering, and saying to himself, I asked for this.
Mm.
I guess he meant, like, he's the one that brought all of that stuff there. He's the one that had
did all the things.
Did all the things, and he's like...
created the love room. And
right, and he's
the
like...
controversy.
It was a matter of time before somebody was going to come and try to, like, rob them or kill them or do something.
But you know what? People should be able to live their lives. Without fear of something like that happening.
And if they want to
or saying that it's their fault that happened because they are that way.
And if somebody consented to go there and do something,
you're an adult.
Yeah.
Or not. At least age of consent.
According to the state of Georgia, you were.
Yeah. According to the state of Georgia, as long as you were 14, you had the option.
Yeah. So for his defiance, Tony West shot Scudder in the face. He continued to reach out for Joseph, and he shot him again. And then one last attempt, West 4 times, pop, 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 like shot him until he was
Jeez.
like gone. This was a robbery that turned into
Just a murder.
a bloodbath.
Yeah. And they got nothing
Mm-hmm.
but charges.
So, for the first time, the name Corpsewood held a horrifyingly literal meaning.
Yeah.
Like, it was crazy. So Wells and Brock ransacked the manor, finding little of value. Some jewelry, a few coins. They found a bunch of dimes and nickels. Like, oh, here's some dimes and nickels. A gold-plated dagger, some silver candelabras, a pistol, a leather jacket. But then their own car wouldn't start, so they stole Scudder's Jeep. They tried to take Scudder's golden harp, but it wouldn't fit. I'm like, it's a harp. It's pretty big.
Dumbasses.
Right. As they were about to leave, Brock heard gurgling sounds coming from Scudder. And in a final act of callous brutality, shot him between the eyes with his own pistol. Because remember, they found a pistol.
How the hell is that man still alive
I know.
after all that?
I was like, dude.
The will to live in that one was strong.
It was the LSD.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe he just couldn't feel what was happening.
God. So
That's just crazy.
the group fled, but their troubles were far from over. They held Teresa Hudgens against her will for 4 days, fearing.
So now they've kidnapped this poor boy's date.
Right. They were fearing that she would go to the authorities. Well, duh.
She should.
Like, this poor girl is like never going to be the same. So eventually she managed to contact her uncle and like get out, and she told him everything. By December 13th, Brock and West were in Mississippi, where they committed another senseless murder at a rest stop, killing a man named Lieutenant Kirby Phelps for his money and vehicle. So back in Georgia, Sheriff Gary McConnell received a report of strange going on at Corpsewood. When they got there, they discovered a horrific scene. They could smell death in the air. The kitchen door was blasted full of bullet holes, and the eerie decor only amplified the sense of dread.
Sure.
Yeah. Scudder and Odom's body, along with their mastiffs, lay in pools of blood. By now, the escape plans of Brock and West quickly fell apart. By December 18th, Brock had ditched West in Texas and was hitchhiking back to Georgia, where he was apprehended shortly after calling his mother for a ride. West continued to wander, eventually walking to a police station and walking up to an officer in Chattanooga, Tennessee on Christmas Eve and just surrendering.
Finally gave up.
Yeah, he was like, I can't do this anymore. Within a month, justice began to move. Brock accepted a guilty plea and was sentenced to life in prison. West went to trial, and despite the initial death sentence that was overturned due to jury issues, he eventually accepted a plea deal of consecutive life sentences in 1985. So he got 2.
So he gets to serve 2 in a row.
Mhm.
Unlike when they're concurrent, you're serving 2 sentences at the same time.
Right. The story of Corpsewood Manor didn't end with the convictions. In late 1983, the manor itself was destroyed by arson, leaving only the skeletal brick structure behind. And I'm sure a lot of people went out there and was like, we have to go see where they were killed.
Yeah.
And we have to go see all this stuff. And somebody,
it's a whole spectacle at that point.
The strange tale of Corpsewood Manor continues to fascinate. After Scudder's estate trial, his golden harp, his statue of Mephistopheles, and his disturbing self-portrait came into possession of a local lawyer, Bobby Lee Cook, and eventually found their way into a private collection in North Georgia. The ruins of Corpsewood Manor remain today. Some describe walking through the skeletal remains of the house and the eerie gazebo, getting an overwhelming, profound sadness. It wasn't a place of malignant devil worshippers. It was the dream of 2 men who sought a different life, however unconventional people thought it was.
Right.
You can go there today. You can walk through the ruins and go through everything. I'm pretty sure the gargoyle is still up there, but, the house is just the skeletal remains of it.
Right, whatever didn't burn.
Scudder and Odom, whatever their eccentricities or beliefs, did not deserve the brutal end they met. They were someone's family members with their own hopes and dreams. Their lives were tragically cut short by the truly evil intentions of callous opportunists, ultimately consumed by violence and greed. Teresa Hudgens, who was consistently portrayed as a witness of the gruesome murders and victim of circumstance, wrote a book called Corpsewood, The Eyewitness Account, further supporting her role as an observer and survivor of the tragic events.
Yeah, I was going to say, she's kind of a victim herself.
Yeah. I mean, at least she told her side of the story, because I'm on a first date and I'm like, what's
happened.
going on?
Yeah,
and then I'm being held captive.
Yeah.
Like, what? But yeah, that is my story.
I will never date again.
Right. Well, it didn't go as long as I thought it would. So
no.
Yeah.
It did good.
But it was a very interesting story. I'm sure there was like a little bit more I could have expanded on, but I was trying to keep it within reason and give you the bones of the story.
Yeah. And I mean, details without details is sometimes really good.
Yeah. But if you want to check out, you can go read Teresa's book.
Yeah.
There's tons of...
Hit up Audible and listen.
Yeah. There's tons of podcasts that have covered Corpsewood Manor.
Yeah, so plenty of places to just delve a little further into the whole story.
If you're up in Georgia and you're like, you know what?
I'm going to drive over.
I'm going to drive by Corpsewood Manor and go see it. You absolutely can.
Yeah.
There's a place where you can park and you can walk up to it and you can see the whole thing. There's lots of videos on YouTube of Corpsewood, the ruins and all that stuff. And I will post lots of pictures of the gargoyles and the inside and some of the decor.
That once existed, huh?
That once existed. Well, some of it
still there?
Some of it got sold, auctioned off. So,
yeah, okay, that's right. So whatever the collectors have,
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, because it was from the mind of a genius madman.
Yeah.
And I only wonder if it was the LSD that made him the way he was.
Yeah, I was like, was it mind enhancing yet still made you a little cuckoo?
A little bit cuckoo.
I think most geniuses are a little crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Regardless. So
ask anybody who was in the gifted program what they're doing today. They're like, nah.
Norman Bates.
Yes. But I mean, sometimes a genius, your mind has to go somewhere. Like sometimes it does fall into madness, and unfortunately, things happen. But they were just trying to live their life, and they were trying to do it. Should they have been hitting on men, they should have just stuck with themselves. Possibly.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you just ran away from people, and then you drug people into your space
and drugged them.
Yeah, drugged people in your space.
Here's some wine. Here's some free drugs. Like you're in the early 80s, and they're like, free drugs? Sure.
Right.
Today, free drugs? Sure.
But are they really free?
Well, there was a price to pay, apparently. So, and then somebody spoke a little bit too much of it, and then had to backtrack and go be like, well, I'm not gay, blah, 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 blah.
Everybody's got a motive.
Yep.
Everybody.
But I feel bad for the doggies. Poor little Beelzebub and Arnath.
It always upsets me because it's like they don't have a choice.
Nope. They were just like, I'm going to protect my owners, and
I love my
me.
humans,
yep.
and now I'm dead. It was interesting.
True crime, spooky, a little occultish, you know.
We hope that y'all just keep on listening.
Yes.
Even though we're weirdos. And
that's what makes us awesome. Just two weird girls.
Yeah. Oh,
Two broke girls.
Two broke weird girls.
Two broke weird girls. There we go. We're gonna start a new show.
But our theme music is by Patty Salzada. And by the way, she said on a comment on YouTube that she knew she was going to be sausage from the jump.
I love Patty.
We had tons of interaction on that update stuff. So
and
that was cool.
There were things on our YouTube. There were comments. We had likes. We've had follows. So y'all keep it up. It's
lots of little mini conversations and stuff like that. So it was really fun to be able to
even on
actually interact with people for
even
a change.
On TikTok, it
because we
really
answer it.
Absolutely,
we absolutely will. So, but again, keep on listening.
Yes,
keep on sharing links with your friends so they can also listen. Follow us on the socials: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Make sure you're there. Subscribe to everything. Because sometimes there might be like little video things or whatever, some shorts or something like that. Like we go on our little trips and we make videos. You can't see those on Apple Podcasts.
Right. So we put the shorts on YouTube so you can, see us in all of our glory.
Yeah. And emails.
Yeah, emails.
Steeped.
Yeah, we almost forgot the emails.
Steeped@holdmysweettea.com. Sorry. There you go.
It's all right. Hold My Sweet Tea is a Drunken Bee production. Bzz. You guys remember to stay safe out there. I don't know why I'm tripping over my words so bad today. It's been a long one. But
just because she's tripping
doesn't mean I can't have 12,000 hits of LSD and start dipping. Bye.
Bye.
Don't do drugs, kids.